What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with
Kendra Jennison.
And we're in a whole new studio.
Whoa, I know you think it looks real fancy because it does.
Do you think it looks fancy?
I love the switch up.
What do you think about this plant?
It's my favorite plant because it will never die.
Yeah.
It's real
It smells pretty good.
It does. It smells like plastic.
Oh, it smells like plastic. All right, so we are, by the time this thing catches air, we put it out into the WWW. It'll probably be around, I would assume, January 1st, New Year's. We're not going to talk about New Year, New Me, but we're going to come along a question of who do we have to become and kind of talking specifically about goals.
I love it.
Right? So you asked me this morning, you're like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, okay, I don't really know. But then I got thinking about it, and we didn't do it last week because you were sick, you weren't feeling well. So this one, I want to talk about goal setting and reaching towards a vision for life that far exceeds anything that you've expected for yourself.
Sure. I love that.
Because, we just, before this, we're just driving. We're doing all these things all together, looking at stuff and in this constant state of evolution and evolving into who we need to become. Painting a picture of something that doesn't exist, yet wanting someone to energetically live inside of this thing that you've created, which I try to do for my team, but ultimately do at home as well. It's very difficult.
Yes.
Right? Especially when you don't really know if you can do it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, half these things, not half, majority of the stuff that we've been able to pull off together, I had no clue we could do it. Like, I knew we could. I knew I had the physical capabilities to work hard, but like looking at the timeline, I was thinking about it, this poll you're having right now, we're like, 10 years from now, are we going to be here? No. Answer's no.
Right.
Like, that's the one staple that we know for sure. In 10 years, for sure, we are gone out of Wisconsin. Kids are raised. Hallelujah. See you later. January, you're not going to hurt my face anymore. I'm over you. Fuck you, February.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about goals. And I know we've talked a little bit about that. What do you think is the difference between when you first met me and I introduced you to goals to now how we talk about actual life as a goal?
I think
there's a difference there, right? Life as a goal.
Yeah.
Who do we have to become? How do we live? Almost like we're on top of life now, on top of the chessboard playing this game.
I think it was really important in the very beginning when you introduced me to goals, and it was a great starting point for me. It was new to me. It was uncharted territory. I was like, what do you mean? Should be thinking about this and this and this. And it was a really great way for me to, one, set something and do it and have the confidence in myself to be like, oh my gosh, holy crap, I can do this. Or I can do these things that I'm setting out to do. Huge confidence booster, huge momentum that just pushed me into truly believing that my life can be so much greater if I just take time to get clarity and a plan and go for it. That was life-changing for me, and of course it started off smaller and just building myself up and building the possibilities of life up. And now, as you kind of said, we sit at a spot where it's a little different. It's a little bit more exciting.
Why is it more exciting?
I think just because it's the evolution of who we are becoming, and it's no longer just like small feats. It's like really massive, great, big ones. It's no longer little steps. It's like, this is our life. Like, this is, damn, we're doing it, and it's very, very exciting. It's also confusing sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
I kind of in that spot right now. For me specifically, I've said it almost on every episode, I feel like, but I just look to you as the leader and the man as our family to obviously cast this future for us, this vision on this is where we're going. And no doubt you're the person who pushes us. You're like the chess piece, right? You always are thinking 10 steps ahead. And
I'm like the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the movie you watched?
I literally love that show. Yeah. But you definitely are casting that future for us. And And I get to a spot where I'm elevating with you, and I'm elevating in, you know, in all my F's and all of the ways of life that you have so graciously and patiently taught me and the kids how to do. And I love it. And I'm thriving and I'm growing into the person who I didn't even know I wanted to become until I started to become her. And I loved it. Right. But it's not always, it's not always as crystal clear as everybody wants it. Or I shouldn't say everybody. It's not always as crystal clear as I would like it to be at this level of life. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, it was very easy to set goals, and they seem so small. Like I said at the time, like, okay, I want you to do this with fitness, or I want you to do this or this and this. Great. Those are just like little, looking back, you know, maybe at the time they were big, but they were such little goals that I was so proud to hit. And now I'm at a spot where it's a lot more of a spiritual or a, you know, intellectual growth that I'm trying to hit. And
this was your post.
When?
This morning.
Oh yeah. See,
the most powerful version of yourself is already within you. Mm-hmm. Learn to satisfy your soul, not the society, and watch her come alive.
Yep. And so
my response was, I've been witnessing it for 6 years now.
And I think that to me is the conflicting part, because I'm on this journey with you and I'm growing into this amazing, like divine, spiritual, authentic woman, and nothing can fuck with me. And I love that feeling.
Except for you. Can fuck with you.
Yeah, well, exactly. And there was a place where it was, you know, you could allow all these outside noises to, you know, influence you and to motivate you and it's sometimes I get so confused. It's like the further I travel down this freedom, spirituality path and this growth path where I'm just like, none of that matters, because so long as you're good with yourself, and I'm great with myself, but I also still need to find ways to grow. So I'm just in a really weird spot where it's like, okay, what questions do I need to ask myself? And so that's where I'm kind of sitting right now. You know, how do I have to elevate in ways that are authentic to me, but are also reflecting the success that I feel in our life? And so it's something that I'm delicately dancing, because the most important thing to me is to keep my most authentic self in check, because that is when I feel, and that is when I thrive, and that is when I'm my most happy, and that's when I feel my most successful. And when I'm truly doing it for us, for me, that is when I have the most freedom within myself. And so I'm trying to delicately, at least maybe I shouldn't delicately, maybe that's the problem. Maybe I should just freaking like go right through it. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure it out. And there's questions that I'm excited to go to California and to Florida, if we get to go to Florida or wherever we choose to go. And my favorite part of one of my favorite parts, besides our anniversary that I look forward to every year, is the end of the new year, just reflecting on who we grew into as a couple. Everything, did we hit all of our goals and our desires that we had for the year? And what are they going to look like at the new year? And asking the questions, okay, literally, who are you? What do you want? Why do you want it? Getting deeper into those. And so that's where we're at right now. And it's just conflicting, and I love it. It's great. It's great. It means I'm growing, which of course I love, but.
So it's an interesting place to hear, or place to sit as you hear, or as I hear that from you, right? Like as you're saying that, because I spent 23 unfucking myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Digging and digging and digging and spinning and toiling and accelerating and dropping back and climbing and clawing and scratching and biting and fighting and not fighting and being at peace and being at war and in the dark and in the light, and spiritual growth, mental growth, physical growth, financial growth, everything just growing and growing and growing. And then I got the back half of this year going into 2024. I'm actually in a really, really good spot.
Yep.
But I spent a year growing past my painful spot.
Yes.
Like I know what it is. We've raised, You want to come into the comeback council? It's 10,000. You want to come to my experience? It's 10,000. Like I used to not even talk about price on these calls.
Yeah, I
it's
remember.
$10K to get into my program, 10,000 to come spend time with us in a 3-day event.
Yep.
It's 50,000 to be in my highest level mastermind. It's $500,000 to come do one-on-one with me. Right. And I couldn't say that with authority and dominance right now that I did, because you know what? I know what they're missing out if they don't come join me.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I didn't necessarily, in the beginning of last year, I knew what we built and I knew who I was, but I felt this clawing. I felt what you felt.
Yeah.
I spent a year uncovering that.
Yep.
I was driving home from the gym today because you've been asking me some questions, right? I can't give you the answers.
Yep.
You have to feel the answers for you.
Yeah.
There was a question that I asked myself as the sun's rising up and I'm praying to God, I'm doing what I do, having my morning routine. Just got done at a sick chest pump. And I just got done doing that. And I said, my wife is not as happy inside as she says she is.
Yeah.
Because you hide behind a smile all the time.
Sure.
Right? And it's not that you're not unhappy. It's just that level of happiness is looking for more happiness.
Yeah, I think that's a great, because never am I not happy. And I know, I know you know that. There's never a time in my life where I'm sitting at home and I'm just like,
I didn't take it like, she's unhappy. She's
No.
she's going to leave me. No, I'm like, this new level.
That's what it is.
I look at it this way. Mark, you went from literally suicidal in October to you don't want to be around me, get fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, I'm swearing a little bit on this one. You don't want to be around me, get fucked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is who I offer. I've got now multiple billionaires in my phone that I can call at any time. I only want to be around people that are proud to be around me. Right. We are the high ticket kings in what we do. I am the best at what I do.
Yeah.
I'm rock solid in my life. I'm good. And I look over at you and say, hey, who do we have to become? Because I'm actually on another journey.
And I think that's part of this unhappiness isn't the right word, because it's just not the right word. I can't think of it right now, but I see you and I feel this massive, massive energetic shift within you. And I see how you're holding yourself in this massive light, and you're like, it's incredible. I wish I could articulate exactly into words. I don't think there are. It's a vibration. I feel it, and I'm with you.
You can feel it if you're in my presence.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm on.
And so that automatically in my brain, I'm like, oh shit, I got to rise. What does that look like? So I start not picking myself apart, but picking myself apart in the ways of like, okay, this is where he's operating. This is the level that my husband is operating at. I know that I'm his equal in all things. So where am I lacking, or where do I need to pick up? Who do I need to become? What does that look like? I start asking myself all these questions of, damn, what does that next level Kendra look like? Because I need to be on the same level as you. I don't mean like I'm never going to be you. I think that's really important for any wife or anybody to hear. Like, I'm never going to be you. I'm never going to have the same mentalities as you when it comes to so many things. I just need to be able, I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror and know that I'm giving it everything that I've got, and that I'm rising along the side with you, and not just allowing you to like drag me. I need to know that I'm doing my part. And so this is the turmoil that I feel and it's great. It's a great place to be in. Mm-hmm. It's a great place to be. I love knowing that you're rising and that it gives me the opportunity now to also rise. I just don't know what that next level Kendra looks like. And so I start asking myself, and it might feel like panic, and it might look like unhappiness, or might feel like unhappiness. And it's not that. It's just, it's just uncertainty. I don't know what it looks like.
Well, I can totally vibe with you and understand it, because it's almost like you're caged, but you're not caged. You're completely free, and you know that. You're better than most people you surround yourself with, or, like in the energy and the presence in the world that you live in, that from where you came from, you feel really, really good about it, but there's still this gnawing, nagging feeling of like, I need to do more, but I don't know what more is. I can't quite clearly. Yes. And then more brings on chaos, because then the chaos is like, well, I want to remodel the farm. I want the house in Florida. And I want this house over here. And I want this car. And I'm talking about things, but you're on this spiritual growth, but I want to kind of flip it back to the other side.
Yeah.
Because in October, as my life was falling apart of last year, of 2022, coming into 2023, we went into a place or into a meeting where I couldn't even get out a couple words. Then I'm a professional speaker.
Yeah.
Right. Like I literally couldn't even get out the words at the lawyer. And I call you. I'm like, yo, pretty good, right? You're like, nah, dickhead. Like, you didn't say that, but like that was awful. Like, and you need to get some help. And we went through a rough spot. Obviously, I had been growing, but I was tired.
Yeah.
My body was shutting down. I was shut down. My mind was shutting down. Everything was shutting down. I kept going and going and going. I had the tenacity and the strength of a cockroach, right? Because they just won't die. Yeah. That's what I felt like. Mm-hmm. For me, it was because I was completely disconnected from God in the way that I wanted to be or the way that I knew to be. And it got to the point where it surfaced up and boiled up. Mm-hmm. And that was the one piece that was missing that we've been able to interject back into our life that has boosted me to where I'm at. Yeah. Even in your journey, it's boosting you as well. But when I flip the script and go back a year ago, you were actually operating and vibrating higher than me.
Sure.
Right? Even though I was keeping it all together and keeping food on the table and building and do what I needed to do, your happiness was there. Now here we are on the other side. You're not nearly deep where I'm at, where I was at, but you're like, okay, he grew. And there's no ceiling on this growth right now because I'm absolutely free.
Yeah.
Nobody owns me right now. I do not care if this fails. I don't want it to. Right. I love what I do. I'm good with me. I'm happy with we.
Yep.
I've got these kids. I've got certainty. I've got high level skills. I've got great team and people around me. I fought for this. And then you're like, oh shit, he's going. Mm-hmm. But I need you to know something, which is that I'm not going without you.
And I know that there was a time in our life where
but I'm not going to slow down.
Nope. And I feel, and I know both of those things. I would never ask you to slow down. That. And there was a time, a long time ago, back in our relationship, people who know the story, California, where you were growing and I thought you were just going to go without me. Because I didn't know what I knew now about our relationship. But what I'm feeling, again, is you're right. I know that I have to grow. Because you're not going to stop. I don't want you to stop. I would never ask you to stop. So, all right, I guess that means I better pick my butt up and start growing. So
I've been building you for 6 years.
Yes.
I've been watching it, witnessing it. I've been talking to God. I allowed God back into our life, into my life, which is he's entered into your life as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it blows my mind when I hear you talk about it and sit with your friends. You know, I did a stack I shared with you guys. Mm-hmm. You found it, not me. Yeah. You were searching. You found Dante.
Yep.
You're sending Phoenix to the Christian camp. You're doing these things. It wasn't me. But by me allowing you to be you, you started growing in ways that I provided a container of safety.
Yes.
For you to explore who you are. Now we've got this new world going into 2024, and I'm not asking you who you need to become. I'm asking you who we need to become.
Yeah.
And I'm up here right now in the fucking clouds, higher than giraffe pussy. Right?
Yeah.
Just not in a bad way. Reaching down my arm and grabbing, waiting for you to come. But I can't make these choices because I know the next level that we get to, the strongest you need to show up. Yes. I've been carrying, I don't want to say carrying you. That's not the right word. I've been leading and guiding and leading and guiding and leading and guiding. But I brought you into a place where I recognize the full femininity, right? That's the word, and the masculinity. Like it's there. It's almost equal, but you're in this place where you are you. And now I can't teach you how to be more you.
Nope.
Not that I was teaching you before, right? But I was allowing you this place where like, hey, I've got you where you are. Now I'm saying,
yep.
Yo, I'm a king, you're a queen. We got to build. Who are we who are we? We know who we are. We know who we were. We know where we sit. We know what we don't want. We know what we do want.
Yep.
But who do we have to become? Because like you just said on the way down there, what do you think that house costs?
Yeah.
20 million, 25 million? And the question, house is cool we talk about, the question should be like, who do we have to become as a couple? Mm-hmm. Who do we have to become as leaders of our children? Who do we have to become as the owners of the I'm a Comeback movement? Who do we have to have our team become?
Right.
If that's what we want, how do we get them how do we get Ryan over here? We'll just to pay cash for I don't even know, like it's a TRX pickup truck.
Right.
Maybe he wants it, maybe he does, right? He'll probably go buy a bunch of cameras that'll be hanging all over the place. But my point is like, who do we have to become to lead them?
Yep.
And I realized that, the other day, it was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I felt it. And I'm like, dude, like I've still been throwing the raft out. not the raft, that's not the right word, but my arm in the boat. I'm like, come on, we're swimming, we're going together. But I could feel the separation. Doesn't mean I don't love you.
No.
Doesn't mean I'm like, oh, I'm unattracted to you. Doesn't mean I want to forget you. I still want to come home and raw dog you. I still want to come home and just have a good time, right? And be with my wife. But I'm operating in such a place that I'm like, hey, I want you to feel this up here.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to do it my way.
And I think that's my favorite. It's one of the most precious gifts that you've given me also is you are such a high performing individual. And I love that about you. And again, not that I'm not, but I'm not on your level. And you never force me to get on your level at any given moment. You give me the tools, you give me the questions that I need to ask myself, and you have the patience to allow me to do it in my own time and in my own way. And if you didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we're at, you know? So I love that you do that for me. And again, this will be no different. You know, you operate all the way up here. I'm beneath you in the sense that you're the leader, right? I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And you are too. I always want you to be above me. And so this will be no different. You know, I'll learn and I'll grow. You'll give me the questions. You'll give me the tools so that way I can figure it out for myself, because this is something that I have to figure out for me in order to, like I said, be along the side with you. And it's exciting. It's fun. It is, like I said, a little confusing sometimes because this like soul searching, in-depth, deep, really figuring yourself out and then learning and maybe being like, oh, okay, maybe that isn't for me, or, oh, maybe that is for me. It's just...
I think there's also some confusion because we went through a wild year doing things that we wanted, but they weren't what we wanted, but actually it is what you wanted, but you didn't know where you want them.
Yeah.
And you actually like certain things about it, and there's still stories you're like, I don't think I want it, but then like, you know what? Then you look at these pictures that you did, you're like, yeah, I actually like that, right? Like, actually, I want to do more of these.
Sure.
I want to show the world how beautiful I am. I want to show the world how powerful I am. I want that house. So it gets in this like constant state of confusion, which is why I want to introduce the people into like the way I run our life. And we actually just coached this at the Comeback Kings and Queens event. You were sick, so you didn't get to do it, but you go from creating goals to projects.
Yeah. And that's where we sit now, really.
High performers, they have goals and dreams, but what they really do is they accomplish projects.
Yeah.
And if you start looking at your life from the frame and the lens of it's a project, putting it in the container, this is the project faith.
I guess that's how I look at myself. I mean, that's kind of how you taught me. I am one massive project. And what does the final project Kendra look like? How enlightened is she? I don't
think there ever is a final product.
And well, that's the thing. Okay. And then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, well, it's never ending. I don't ever want to stop learning. I don't ever want to stop growing. And what buckets of life should I continue striving to grow into? What, you know, again, what are the questions? What does that look like? It's amazing. I like it. I love it.
The questions are, this is where I think people mess up. They look for like complex questions.
Sure.
Because inside of the complexity, they can add some chaos, and the comfort's in the chaos. And if they make the questions hard, they just don't have to answer them.
They feel like they're really doing something.
Right, but more often than not, they shy away from having to answer them.
Sure.
But the truth is, the more simple that you make the questions of who am I?
Yep.
What do I want? What am I worth?
Yep.
Why am I worth that?
Yep.
You know, who do I have to become? Who do we have to become?
Which is probably my favorite exploration question right now is, who do I have to become?
Well, who do you think it is?
I've been sitting with it. I don't feel like it's just as easy as rattling it off. And I say that because typically I write it down, or I say one thing to you and then I act on it. And if it doesn't feel authentic to me, then I dismiss it, because that already will tell me that it's not going to work for me. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like hit or miss trial. It's trial and error that I go through. But also sometimes that can be deceiving, because sometimes I'll try something that's totally out of my comfort zone and I think it's the next level of growth, but I dismiss it because it makes me uncomfortable. And then I have to sit back and I have to reevaluate and be like, oh shit, well, yeah, the new level of you is going to be really uncomfortable. So maybe you're just telling yourself that so that way you can stay in your little safe zone, So again, that's a lot of self-awareness. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of me just figuring me out so that way I can grow with you. So
for me, and I've said this before, in the face of simplicity, we tend to add complexity as human beings. I spent the whole year simplifying everything down, reducing it down to the ridiculous, and just making life so easy that from all the way from, it is easy, the vision I have laid out even for the team once they can finally grasp it. But for me, what it is I needed to work on the simple, basic things.
Yeah.
Which is for me to become who I need to be next. I need to be more of who I already am.
Yep.
More of who I already am is I'm a little bit lumberjack with a little bit of, I like the money.
Yeah.
Right. And allow myself to say that. I like nice things, but I also like I like fires outside, and I like, I like the woods, and I just like all these things. I don't like to always be in a city. I hate city, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't need it to be like looking a certain type of way.
Yep.
I'm a little bit of everything.
And I think that's also another good point too, because I feel like when I'm trying to, in these moments of growth, it's really hard because I can't just say, oh, this is what it looks like, or, oh, this is who I have to become. Or I can't start placing myself in these like singular boxes, because then I feel trapped. And that is so not us, because we are everything. Like you just said, we're a little bit of this, we're a little bit of that. And that's genuine. That's genuinely who we are. And so just, again, like I think you just said it perfectly when you said just being more of that will allow me to figure out exactly and to grow into.
I also know this for us to be true. Just when we were just driving around, and I felt the feeling here these past couple of days, is like, in order for me and you to become more of who we are, the kingdom needs a new castle. Like, there's just no way around it. We keep spinning and toiling in the same story. Yeah. But if you look at the story and you take a step back, the story is just, there's so much great memories around a great piece of property that it feels so comfortable that it's actually holding us back.
Sure.
Right. And it's like, we're unwilling to make the move, but the moves we make, it's kind of like we skirt around the moves, skirt around the outside, make the moves, but don't fully commit to the move. Yeah. Because there's safety inside of what we already have. Yet what's calling at our hearts is like, rise, motherfuckers, right? Like rise. And breaking through that level of, I can't even say mediocrity because we don't live a mediocre life, but what's mediocre to me is performing high for others. But we're like, okay, cool. We need to move and become unreachable. Yeah. What did you just say? Professionally unavailable. We need to become professionally unavailable to those who no longer fit in my world. Yeah. I'm still too reachable.
You are, definitely.
And I'm talking about like in the actual day-to-day that we live. I mean, so unwinding all of these stories, taking a step back as a leader, like we talk about goals. It's great. If you're new to this and listening to this thing, you should write your goals. Like people, whatever they are, it doesn't matter.
Just start thinking about them.
They have to start small, and don't start small. Actually, the shortcut is think massive, right? It's harder than you think to do, but just allow yourself to think and let yourself out of the box, because we don't live inside of a box, but allow yourself the ability to grow and free flow and start thinking about things much larger than yourself, things that inspire you and make you want to feel good. And then for like where we're at, or is like looking at a project. And I looked at this, like everything in my life. Go to California. I'm doing 4 days with Garrett, one-on-one work, or not one-on-one, but in a group setting, working on things I already have figured out, but I know I'll come back with more tangible takeaways. Yeah. But like in my finances, my faith, I know who I need to become in my faith this year. I need to take my message to the churches and to schools. Yeah. I feel called and compelled in a large way to be able to take everything that I've done, speak, come back 7, and put it in a place where people are in desperate desired need of certainty. Yep. Finances, I'm hunting down 5.6 million personal for us, right? Family, I got to create the kingdom. I got to move the kingdom. It's got to happen. Yep. This kingdom here where we live. And then in my fitness, like this is a big one. I've got to get absolutely, you can see the difference in my hair, my beard, the way that I look. It's been a slow transition. I need to change, radically shift my relationship with food and the way that I look at myself. I look at myself right now, I think I look like shit. Right?
You say that no matter
But
how
I need to
shredded
be,
you are.
but I need to become absolutely weaponized and fortified in the mind to believe in me. And if I can do that, I'll be able to collapse time. I'm already up here.
Yep.
Like I know for me and for you, we're going to be okay no matter what. For my team here that believes in me wholeheartedly, we're going to be good no matter what.
Yep.
Nothing's going to stop because I'm not going to stop. And that's where I got in this year.
Yeah.
The project I worked on was Project Redo. Like, well, there's a lot of different projects, but like redo, refresh, recreate, relocate. Fuck that one up. So I think that's what I wanted to do. Talk about this week. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't. I think that was great.
Yeah. Fact maps. That's what we're going to do this week.
Yes.
Because
very excited.
without the facts, there can be no future.
I'm very excited to go through that with you.
That's it for this week's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. We'll see you all next week.